What if I told you that something you do every single day, something completely normal, something most of us don't even think twice about, is quietly working against your health? I'm talking about sitting. And before you scroll past thinking, yeah, I've heard all this before, just stick with me, because this isn't about guilt. It isn't about overhauling your entire life. This is about one small, powerful shift that could genuinely change how you feel, how you age, and how long you live. I'm Cherine, owner of For Your Life, and today we're talking about sedentary living, what it's actually doing to your body, how it's gotten so much worse for our generation, and the simple practical steps that you can start today. So what is a sedentary lifestyle? You might have heard the terms sitting disease or sitting is the new smoking. It all sounds a bit dramatic, but the science behind it is real. A sedentary lifestyle is essentially one where you're spending the majority of your day physically inactive. And the most common culprit is prolonged sitting. When your body is still for long periods of time, your metabolism slows down significantly. And when your metabolism slows, your body loses its ability to do some pretty important things, like regulating your blood sugar, managing your blood pressure, and breaking down fat efficiently. And over time, this isn't just about feeling a bit sluggish or putting on a few kilos. Prolonged inactivity is directly linked to some of the most serious chronic conditions we face today, like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, certain cancers, and of course, obesity. These aren't small risks. These are life-altering and life-shortening conditions, and sitting is the major contributing factor. So how did we get here? Here's the part that really puts it into perspective for me. If I have to think about my grandparents, or even my great-grandparents, if I think about how they spent their days, chances are that this will be pretty similar for you and how your grandparents lived. Their jobs were usually physically demanding. They would do things like walk to the shops, they would do their own housework, they would probably garden, they cooked from scratch, they moved constantly throughout the day. Not because they were exercising, I mean, they weren't running off to the gym every day, but their lives required them to move. Now, if we look at most of how us live today, we are spending somewhere between 8 to 10 hours a day seated. This is a massive shift from just one generation. Desk-based jobs have exploded. We commute by car or public transport now, and what do we do to unwind? We sit in front of a screen. And the little bits of physical effort that used to be woven naturally into our daily lives, they've all been largely engineered out of existence. We didn't choose this consciously. It's kind of crept up on us, but the impact on our health is enormous. And unfortunately, the data also backs that up. So what is the danger zone? The danger zone is the threshold that we measure by how many hours a day we are sitting and what that translates into as a risk factor for us. The research tells us that sitting more than 8 to 11 hours per day moves you into what is considered to be a danger zone. And when you add it up honestly, the morning commute, the all-day sitting at the desk, the eating lunch at your computer, the drive home, dinner on the couch, a bit of Netflix, many of us are well past that threshold, even without realizing it. So this is important to understand because a lot of people assume that just by going to the gym a few times a week, cancel this out. And in fact, it might actually be a little bit worse because you may think, oh, I've been to the gym today, so now I don't need to take the stairs or I don't need to go for a walk at lunch. Fortunately, the research doesn't support the fact that just going to the gym reverses the sedentary lifestyle implications for the balance of your day. Prolonged sitting has independent health risks separate from whether or not you exercise. So you could be a regular gym goer and still be at an elevated risk if you are sedentary for the bulk of your day. It's not just about moving more in one block. It's about interrupting stillness and making sure you're moving throughout the day. So like I always say, when you're looking at taking on a new habit, you have to start with why. So before we get into the practical steps, I wanted to just take a moment to think about why it's so important to tackle the sedentary lifestyle bad habit. So that when the motivation gets tough, you have your why as an anchor to make sure you keep striving towards that goal. So what we're wanting to do here is to increase the amount that we're moving through the day. The goal is simple. It's just about moving more vitality and more energy, so you've got more good years ahead of you. And that's the whole point. And the way we're going to get there is just by sitting less, by standing up. That's not a big ask, not a gym membership, not overhauling your life, just not sitting so much. So how do we do this? Step 1, identify where you are sitting most. Before you change anything, you need to know what you're actually dealing with. So take a mental walk through your day, your typical week, and ask yourself, where am I sitting the most? Is it in the car on the long commute? Is it at the desk from 9 to 5? Is it on the couch after dinner, during meetings? It's probably going to be a combination of all of these things. You can't reduce what you haven't identified. So grab a piece of paper, open the notes app on your phone, or just spend a few minutes thinking through and mapping out where the biggest sitting blocks for you are in your typical day. That's where you start. Then what I want you to do is to adopt the 30-minute rule. This is a great guideline for you to take on board. To minimize the harmful effects of prolonged sitting, aim to break up long periods of stillness at least every 30 minutes. Set a timer if you need to. Stand up, walk to the kitchen, do a lap of the office. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to happen. Then find the parts of your day where it's practical and realistic to dramatically reduce how much time you're sitting. Look at what has to happen and things that you can't change, like you may need to drive in your car to get to work. That's not something you can change. But maybe there are other opportunities where you could do things standing up instead of sitting down. So just work with what you have. Within the constraints, there's usually a lot of flexibility, more so than you think. So maybe you can get a standing desk, or maybe you can get a desk converter, or maybe you can take a walk while you're having a meeting rather than sitting at a desk, or you can go for a walk at lunchtime, or get up and physically go and talk to your colleague at work rather than sending them an email. There's lots of different things that you can do to just get yourself up and walking. Get up to go and fill your water bottle. Lots of things you can do to just get yourself moving through the day. A smartwatch or fitness tracker can be a game changer here. Have something that on your wrist that nudges you or moves you away and creates that feedback loop. That's very, very effective. Always start small. Aim to reduce your sitting time by just 1 hour a day for the first week, and then build from there. Small, consistent change is always the most sustainable and the most effective way to get lasting change to happen. So let's wrap it up. Sitting disease is real. It's widespread, and it's affecting our health in the ways that most of us are only beginning to understand. But the solution doesn't have to be complicated. Identify where you sit most. Find the gaps where you can move and break it up every 30 minutes. Start with 1 hour less a day and then build from there. Your future self, the one who has energy, fewer aches, more years ahead, will thank you. And for every small step you take today, think about the impact on your lasting health and happiness. Literally, if this resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe. I share content like this regularly to help you build a healthier, more energized and active way of life. I'd love to know what your biggest sitting trap is during the day, or how you've overcome it, or some clever creative solutions that you've come up with. Drop them in the comments below and let's keep figuring it out together.